Peace to the 12. So, y'all see the title. It says, Meet the Slaves That Didn't Come from Africa. For those of you that don't know, and this is the Scottish edition because there are going to be many editions, Lord willing, I'm able to get that information. But for those of you that don't know, yes, all so-called black people did not come to this land from the west coast of Africa like it's told. All right, everybody didn't come from West Africa and Central Africa. All right, so-called. All right, I just did a video on Africa, as a matter of fact. Watch the video before this one. All right, about what Africa used to be called in the time of the Romans. Nonetheless, yeah, this will be the Scottish edition, man. All right. Let's kick it off at Psalms 85 and 11. All right. Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven, man. Exactly, man. And what is this truth that's going to spring out of the earth? Well, it's a twofold scripture. The truth meaning, the truth, this word's getting out, but also the truth is springing forth out of the earth through artifacts, through skeletal bones, right? Through finding of old books, old dictionaries, old portraits, old paintings of what people looked like in certain areas, right? Right. So that's how we found out about the Dark Ages and the so-called black presence that was in the Dark Ages. But that's another video for another day. But yeah, the truth sprang forth from out of the earth in that regard and sense, man. The truth of who we were. Now, speaking of all this, now let's get to the part what made me do this video, right? So these are all going to be excerpts from the book known as Jacobite Gleanings from state manuscripts, short sketches of Jacobites. Now this is what the book's called. The Transportations in 1745 by J. Macbeth Forbes. All right, so this guy named J. Macbeth Forbes wrote this book. And mind you, this took place in 1745, which is even before the what you would call the Declaration of Independence, which took place in 1776. This is in 1745. All right, and we're going to learn about the black Scots that were deported from Scotland. All right, and when you think of this word Jacobite, we're going to find out what they look like as well through this book. So let's get to it. All right, I'm not going to read all this. I will. What I will do, though, now that I think about it, I believe I have a free PDF somewhere on this book. If I find it, I will link it in my comment section. Nonetheless, so I'm not going to read all this like I said, but we're going to get here. The colonies and plantations had been for some time back the dumping ground for undesirables of all kinds. Convicts, state criminals, whether political or religious, rebels, suspects, malcontents, fanatics, and deserters. So it's giving you a list of people that people went to colonies and plantations, the undesirables. Now we're going to find out who these undesirables that I'm focusing on are in this video. We're going to go through here. Actually, let's go through. Yeah. He adds an interesting fact that it was not till 11 years after the Union that Scotland sent her first ship across the Atlantic, and that in the West, owing to the development of the American colonies, the national progress was greater than in any other parts of Scotland. So like I told you, this is going to be focusing on the Scotland's deportation towards the colonies, the Americas, and the West Indies. All right. So we got religious exiles, political rebels, persons of quality, immigrants. Let's go to 1600, 1700. These are those who came after them. All right. In the 15th and the 45th were among the willing and unwilling pioneers of the colonization movement. So you had unwilling participants, man. Unwilling pioneers. Those are the ones that got deported, man. Now, we're going to go down to here, right? It says destined for exploration to the West Indies, Minorques, Gibraltar, and the plantations. Now, this is where I'm dealing right here, right? This is the Jacobite prisoners. All right, the Jacobite prisoners who went to West Indies and all these other places, right? Now, the Jacobites, when you look up the Jacobites in history, the Jacobites in British history are supporter of the exiled Stuart King James II and his descendants after the Glorious Revolution. The political importance of the Jacobite movement extended from 1688 until at least the 1750s. All right, so this is the Jacobite rebellion, right? Now check this out. Whatever their religion, Jacobites considered the exiled Stuarts the true British and Irish monarchs, most believed by divine right, and therefore they could not be removed as they would see it at the whim of the parliaments. So, long story short, the Jacobites, who were Israelites, by the way, I'm going to get that scripture in a bit, but Jacob was the name of Israel. As most of you know, Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Now, as far as who the Israelites are, you guys know by now who the Israelites are, all right? The people of color, all right? Now, I just wanted to add this as well, this right here. You can look up a man named Kenneth Niger, all right, Kenneth III of Scotland. He was a literal king of Scotland. So for those that think what I'm saying is far-fetched, they will even tell you that they had a black king in Scotland, man. But guess what? There were many black kings in Scotland. And these Jacobites that were deported, we're going to find out that they were who you would call today a so-called black, which means that when you look up Jacobitism and you see these people who do not look like they actually look, these are people who are damn LARPing. What is LARPing? When someone is pretending to be something they're not. Can involve lying on social media, internet, or lying in real life, often used in a derogatory sense. I say this all the time, man. These guys that you see, they say, oh, I'm so-and-so, I'm descendant of so-and-so the first, and, you know, this is a picture of Queen Anne Boleyn, or this is a picture of Anne Boleyn and this and that. That's not who they really look like, man. These people are LARPing, man. These are fake, fictionalized images, man. And they have the real images behind closed doors in some basement somewhere, man. All right. But anyway, speaking of Jacob, right? Like I said, these people are known as the Jacobites. The Jacobites who believe that by divine right, they could not be removed, man. I should have included a scripture on that too. When I believe it's in Exodus or Deuteronomy, where Moses says, if you set a king over you, he has to be of your own kind. All right, which lets you know that voting is off because you can't vote for another nation. You have to support your own people to be a head over you. All right, but that's a whole other thing in its own self. Nonetheless, let's get to this Jacob part, right, to prove what I'm talking about how Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Hence, the name Jacobite is synonymous with the word Israelites. So this is Genesis 32 and 28, right? And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. All right, so that shows you that Jacob's name was changed to Israel. But all throughout the scriptures, the Lord still calls Israel Jacob from time to time. All right, because you can interchange the two names to mean the same people. All right, you can get the first. I'm going to give an example in Isaiah 14 and 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. So he'll choose Israel and have mercy on Jacob. But that means that he uses them in the same way, Jacob and Israel, right? We're the same person. And set them in their own land, and the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. See, the house of Jacob. So the Jacobites, they were Israelites, man. All right. And we're going to find out what they look like from this book later on, man. So just stick around. Now, I wanted to say this too. In Hollywood and in video games and all this stuff, they already know who the Israelites are. They already know what Jacob looked like, and they already know who they really are. All right. And I'm gonna give you two examples just in this, right? I did a video. One of my first videos was a video on Mass Effect and all the biblical things that was in it. Now, there was a black dude in the game Mass Effect. His name was Jacob Taylor. All right, and they made him a so-called black man. And in this movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, which I did a whole review on this movie, but YouTube took it down, so I'm gonna have to upload it on some other type of source. You brothers can let me know what I can do that on. But in this movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, once again, you have this kid, which is Jaden Smith, and in this movie, his name was Jacob Benson. So they named him Jacob, and they named him Jacob, and they were both people of color, man. Now they could have named him any other color, and this movie was very biblical, man. Anyway, I just wanted to put that in there too. So let's read. So let's read about some more on this. The transportations in 1745. On the 6th of October, 1747, the War Department offered a pardon to rebels who would enlist into the independent companies of the Admiral Boscawen's expedition. All right, the colony of Georgia sent a regiment to Scotland to help in suppressing the rebellion. What rebellion is it talking about? The Jacobite rebellion. All right, now check this out. On 31st July 1746, 5 weeks after Governor Pepperell's appeal for soldiers from Jacobite sources. All right, like he said, he made an appeal for them to join the army, the Jacobites. The application was made for rebel prisoners being sent as recruits for regiments serving in North America and West Indies as follows. Now we're going to get a number of people that had went over to these lands that were Jacobites. Leeward Islands, 250. Jamaica, 100. Cape Breton, which is in Canada, the Nova Scotia region. Cape Breton, 400 people. In all, there were 700 people, so you have 750 Jacobites right there. On 15th of August, hold on, I'm not gonna read this whole thing. Like I said, you brothers can pause it. All right, it contained records that the Nova Scotians threatened a revolt on a report of the rebellion in Scotland. And as a matter of fact, speaking of the black Nova Scotians, a very famous person who y'all know to be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. For those of you that don't know, and y'all can look this up, his father, Rocky Johnson, he was a black Nova Scotian from the region of Canada. Y'all can look that up. Let's go down to here. At least the French section who knew Nova Scotia under his Gaelic and poetic name of Acadie, and the occasion presented itself when England was taxed in suppressing the Jacobite rising. So England was taxed with suppressing the Jacobite rising. You had a series of wars, what nowadays you would be known as race wars, man. You know, that was going on at this time, believe it or not. The history that they don't speak about. And like I told you, in this same book, he's going to give you descriptions of what these Jacobites and these other prisoners look like. For those of you that think I'm bullshit. But we're going to get that in due time. I just want to get the pages before I get to the other page. I'm going in a page order. Alright. The governors of Leeward Islands, Barbados, Jamaica, Maryland, and Virginia, setting forth the powers given to the contractors over the rebels. So these rebels got transported into the Leeward Islands, Barbados, Jamaica, Maryland, and Virginia. Now, y'all know where Jamaica and Barbados, y'all know who be over there. And Maryland and Virginia, letting you know that we were over there. So, don't think everybody that was transferred to Maryland, Virginia came from West Africa somewhere, man. You know, even though those West Africans, for the most part, were also Israelites, they will get their separate video for another day. Now, here we go, right? Here we go to here. Prisoners were transported for the term their natural lives, and that they must enter into indentures. So a lot of these people became indentured servants, which is basically a slave with conditions like they can own land and whatnot. Like in the medieval times, they called them serfs. But anyway. And a sufficient military guard was to be placed over them. So you have military guards placed over the Jacobites just in case they tried another uprising, man. All right, now we're going to get the rebellions, right? The first record of transportation in this rebellion was of 47 rebels shipped at Liverpool on the 26th of April, 1746 for the plantations. So in 1746, you have 47 rebels shipped to Liverpool. What rebels? The Jacobite rebels. They were transported to Montserrat in June, but 2 died on the passage. So 2 died. But anyway, Montserrat, we're going to find out the population of Montserrat to see where we're at, right? Montserrat. 88.4% African/black. All right, the black Irish of Montserrat. The Irish, so apparently there were a lot of Irish that went to Montserrat as well, man. But yeah, and shout out to that brother. What's his name? I believe his name is Fear the Most High. 7. Very, very intelligent brother, man. I'll probably leave a link to him in my comment section as well, if I remember. But yeah, these people got transferred to Montserrat. It's 47 people, right? And we know that's 88.4% black. But now we're about to get to what they look like, man, just to prove it. Because conventional history will show you that Jacobites look like they were pale skinned. But we'll get to that, man. The loss of one of my ships with 150 rebels, the veteran John Ricky Master, bound for Antigues, which was taken by the French privateer Paul Mars and carried into Martinico, and of 75 cent with the East India expedition. So 150 rebels were lost. Let's go down to here. I have also sent a list and exact description to my agents and all our colonies in the West Indies, that they may be more easily detected. So this guy, let me see my time where we're at. All right. So it took me a long time to get here, but we're here. So this guy is given an exact description to his agents in the colonies to let them know who they are so they can be easily detected. All right. Why is he doing this? In case they are taken in any homeward bound Martinico ship, a copy is enclosed for admiralty, lest any should escape to France or Scotland. So if any of these people were to escape to France or Scotland, all the rest are safe. Arrived at Barbados, Jamaica, and Virginia. So these people arrived at Barbados, Jamaica, and Virginia. Now we're going to see what these people look like. Check this out. He wrote in his notes description. Let me let you know that ditto means the same, meaning they have the same description. You know, like people say ditto. Like say I'm 6'2", 250 pounds, and light skinned. Now if it says ditto, that means there's someone that's the same description as me. Anyway, we're going to read it, right? This is October 1745. Or 6. Is that 1746? Anyway. Brown. These are the remarks. Brown. Smooth-faced. Black. Curled hair. Brown. Black. Ruddy. See, you see this? It says black, ruddy. Ruddy. Complexion. So that lets you know that when ruddy doesn't necessarily mean a red, pale, so-called Caucasian. We just read it, right? Black, ruddy. Healthy. Brown. Ditto, ditto, ditto. Swarthy. We're going to get on these words in a minute. Black, brown. Black, brown, black, brown. Ditto, black. Black, brown. All right. This is the whole list, right? And you see ruddy and swarthy to let you know the black, the complexion that they had. Now we're gonna touch on these words, right? Now the word swarthy, according to the etymology, which means the origin of words, says swarthy, dark color, especially of skin. Right? Swarthy, swart, schwartz, a black person. Somewhat derogatory, black, swarthy. Refer to black servants. All right. So these guys that were on the ship, these Jacobite rebels, they were dark-skinned people, man. And when it says ruddy, we're gonna get on that in a minute. But look, I typed in swarthy animal, and these are examples of swarthy animals, very dark-skinned animals, man. I typed in ruddy animals also. This is known as an ash red heifer. Now, it's known as a red heifer, but you can clearly see it's a shade of brown with a red tinge to it. And I typed in ruddy animals, and you see these brown animals with reddish tinges. All right, Ancient Hebrew Research Center. I just happened to get this on this image as well, so there you go. Now I'm going to show you an example. See, I showed you these two examples. Now I'm going to show you an example between a black person who was ruddy and a black person who was swarthy. I'm going to show you this right now. Now you see this guy, this would be who you would call swarthy. This would be who you would call ruddy, even though they're both so-called black people. All right. These are different shades of ruddy, as you can see. All right. And this, shout out to whoever this is, Sharon Williams. She knew what she was talking about. She said, ruddy does not mean white. It means red, as in red-boned or light-skinned. Exactly. Ding, ding. Or even mahogany. All different shades of brown, from the lightest to darkest. It was never meant white. And we just proved that. Ruddy animals. These are ruddy animals. These are swarthy animals, man. And if you don't believe me, just believe what this dude wrote when he was giving descriptions, man. No, I'm not even gonna read all she said. Y'all can pause it though. Yeah, she was going in. Yeah. So when I type in swarthy animals and ruddy animals, right, we get the browns and the blacks. Yet when I type in swarthy people, this is what I got. Look, how to manage ruddy skin. You get me a ginger, Caucasian. I typed in swarthy skin, and you get whatever she is, man. Now, now that doesn't compute, man. That doesn't compute. But see, that's how they changed the origin of words today. All right, these are more descriptions of the people he listed. Right, I didn't even highlight them because it was pretty much the same. Black, black, black. You know, and you had some Caucasians that were in this list, but the majority of them were black, man, straight up. All right. I wonder why. So we know who these Jacobite prisoners were for a fact. Now, we'll get some more things that I highlighted real quick. Of the 135 men, 18 hailed from Perthshire, 20 from the Inverns, 25 from Aberdeen, 19 from England, and 1 from Ireland. All right. Now check this out. There was an Edinburgh writer, George Hume, age 30, marked as a black man, whose color would no doubt suit the West Indies. So he's saying, hey, there's a black man who's a writer, which lets you know that he wasn't no damn slave. All right, he was a writer whose complexion would suit the West Indies. Why? Because it's a very hot climate. The sun is out. More on that later. Lets you know that he knew that the sun would do things to him. All right. Coming down to here, the French settlements in the West Indies. The climate was more adapted to blacks than whites. So the climate was more so for blacks than whites. That's what this guy wrote in the page, man. All right, because for those of you who don't know, the sun, it kills them, man. All right, look, this is the average number from 2012 to 2016 of melanoma. For those of you that don't know what melanoma is, it's skin cancer. And look at the rates, right? 73,000, 71,000. This is towards what it says white. But you look at black, the percentage of skin cancer is 300, man. It's not even at 1,000. All right. So that's what he meant by the climate was more adapted to blacks than whites, and that the black man's color would no doubt suit the West Indies. That's what he meant. Let's get some more. New Zealand now has the world's highest rate of melanoma skin cancer. All right. Increasing risk skin cancer in California. Sunburns. The deaths of melanoma, 800 deaths, man. This is what be going on. And this is why they keep record of it, man. And this is the West Indies. For those of you who don't know, the West Indies is Venezuela, Colombia, West Indies, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Bahamas, Cuba, Florida. So this is what you would call the West Indies. So you have people that were shipped to all these different islands, man, as well as Virginia and Maryland. So just wanted to throw that all in there. By the way, speaking for myself, on a personal note, my family on my mother's side, they came from Scotland, man. They came from Scotland, they came from Ireland, and they came from France. All right. Now, I already knew this, and then my mother started doing that ancestry stuff, which I don't even really believe in, but nonetheless, it verified that. Now, when people get their ancestry results and it says that they come from Scotland or Denmark or whatever, they just assume, oh, I must have had so-called white people who are my ancestors. No, sir. Just because they come from that region, that does not mean that they're Caucasian. But see, the people of today, you would think that they're Caucasian just based on that. But more than likely, your relative, if you're a so-called black person, it says your relatives come from Europe, more than likely, you're a descendant of the black Europeans, man. All right. And for those that don't know, the blacks of captivity in the Western Hemisphere come from 3 sources. They were already here in the Americas. That's number 1. They were already here in the Americas. They were the Aboriginal Americans. Then you have the blacks that came from West and Central Africa. And then you have the blacks that came from Europe. All right. And I'll do videos on all these things in due time. But yeah, man. And And these prisoners came in some numbers, man. 270 sailed from Gravesend on that day, 183 from Tilbury Fort, 76 from transports on the river. A computation was made in the prints of the period that at the beginning of April, and that upwards of 600 had been shipped. So 600 had been shipped. All right, let me say this too. You see all these names, right? Let me say this. You see all these names: William, Murray, all these names: Andrew, William, Walter, William, John, all that. Notice none of it. Notice it doesn't say Kunta Kinte and damn all that other stuff, man. All right. So when you have a so-called English name, don't automatically think that that's the name of your slave master, man. Like I told you before, the blacks were in Europe. As a matter of fact, at the time, the blacks ruled Europe. Look up the Moors. Read a book by David McRitchie known as The Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 1 and Volume 2, where he goes in and tells you about the original inhabitants of the Europe lands, which were so-called black people. All right. Now, on a biblical note, the original Europeans are who you'd be known as the Japhites, who are also so-called black, but today they'd be known as Polynesians, Samoans. All right. But after they were kicked out due to a series of wars, ultimately the black people that ended up living there were the Israelites of various tribes. All right, which I'll do videos on all these things, Lord willing. Anyway, so we're going to go through here, right? Ship's boat. I'm gonna start here. An unfortunate accident occurred. The ship's boat conveying some of them having run against a hawser and partially capsized, thrown into the water and drowning 8 out of 74. So an accident happened and 8 out of 74 of them were drowned. Right? And it gives you the name of them: Charles Gordon, Andrew Gibb, Colin McDonald, John McFarland, William Odom, James Mackey, Hugh MacLeod, and John Masters. So these are the 8 that drowned. All right, and notice none of their names are damn Kunta Kinte, man. They were handcuffed 2 and 2 together like felons. So they were handcuffed like felons, man. Like this, man. They was handcuffed like felons, man. They drowned. It was impossible for any of them to save their lives. Yeah, because they was handcuffed, man. At this point, it was reckoned that rather more than 1,000 prisoners had been transported. So you had more than 1,000 prisoners transported, man. All right, and we're going to find out that these were black people once again. Let's get here. Recalled on the way and allowed to return to France with the French troops under Colonel Drummond. The 2 youths, William Home and Robert Forbes, who refused to join the colors. And lastly, Robert Taylor, who acted as a ring. Yeah, he refused to join the colors, man. He refused to be in the same company as the black prisoners. Kind of like this guy. He was like, nah, I ain't gonna be with this guy. It even names the Highlanders. All right, and the Highlanders were Israelites as well. Look, reverting to the transported prisoners, they are no statistics as read mortality. Bishop Hay, in his Jacobite memoirs, tells of 81 Highlanders who were tempted to submit to Inverness and were thereupon placed on board the king's vessels and subjected to wretched treatment in them. Those who survived were sent to Barbados, where only 18 were alive 3 years after out of the 81. So the Highlanders, they were treated terribly and shipped to Barbados. All right. Now this is what they tell you the Highlanders look like. Fake image. All right. Once again, Old Virginia, the year 1650. So they've been doing this. Now here, later on in 1745, after the suppression of the Jacobite rebellion, there came to North Carolina a powerful reinforcement of Scottish Highlanders. All right. Now, I'm going to do videos on the blacks of Scotland relatively soon since I did this video. Now I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, this is a fake image. All right. This is an example of a real image and a doctored up fake image, man. Jeremiah 51:19. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things. Yeah, we're the former of all things, man. And Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name. So, yeah, we're the former of all things, man. Don't think that your history started and damn 1492, man, because it didn't. In 1619. All right, we had royalty all throughout the world, man. All right, and what happened to our royalty? We're gonna find out in Ezekiel 7:20, man. As for the beauty of its ornament, he set it in majesty. But they made the images of their abominations and of their detestable things therein. Therefore have I set it far from them. Yeah, we lost our majesty, man. Because we were worshiping abominations. We were going off. We were breaking the law, statutes, and commandments given to us under the ordinances of Moses that was given to him by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, the Heavenly Father, man, and his only begotten Son. And watch what happened to our royalty. Watch what happened. And I will give it into the hands of the strangers for a prey, and to the wicked, who's the wicked? Esau, of the earth for a spoil, and they shall pollute it. And that's how this became this. You can also read in Maccabees, I should have included it, when it says the heathen sought to make the likeness of their image as their paintings, man. They tried to paint the likeness of their images, man, which is what they ended up doing in this regard. And I'm going to prove that the wicked is Esau in this Malachi 1 and 4. All right, I'm going to go through 1 all the way to 4. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith the Lord, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau. So the Lord literally hates Esau, man. And laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. So the wicked, the border of wickedness, the line of wickedness, the line of what represents what is wicked, that is Esau, Edom. All right, and they got it, and they painted the likeness of their image. They took our majesty, and it was given to them, man. And that's it on this video. Hopefully y'all learned this. I know I'm gonna have some scoffers. I really don't give a damn. Make your own video. Get off my page, man. All right, and with that, I say peace to the 12. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, man. Hopefully this lesson was learned, edifying, man. And I say shalom, which means peace, to you brothers doing this work in truth and sincerity, to you people that are listening and learning, and to the elders that was doing this thing before me, man. Shalom.